Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel, All Things Taeler, with yours truly, Taeler Hendrix, just in time for another wicked Q&A Wednesday coming your way. Before we get right down to it, we have 2 questions today from Twitter and the rest were from you all on my YouTube channel. Love it. I love seeing the Taeler Army community growing pretty much every single day. It's actually just a really gratifying experience. Before we jump right into the questions, please do me a huge favor and go ahead and hit the thumbs up button for this video so we can continue to grow the Taeler Army on YouTube and keep our presence as savage as always. And don't forget to comment below this video for your questions to potentially be featured on next week's Q&A Wednesday. All right, guys, let's jump right in. Someone asked me today on Twitter if I could promote my own music festival, like who would I want to have. This was such a hard question because, as you guys know, I'm such a huge music fan. I listen to stuff from the 30s all the way into, 2021. So I have a lot of different tastes in music. So I genuinely do not think that I can answer this question. I think booking like a wrestling promotion would be easier than this question about, promoting my own music festival and what bands and artists would I have. That's really difficult. We would have to talk about what genre we're thinking for music, what the budget is, the venue, that's too hard of a question, guys. Just too hard. The next question is, this was said on Twitter and YouTube. They asked me, do I miss wrestling and will I ever wrestle again? For the first part, do I miss wrestling? Yes and no. This is a very loaded question, actually. And will I ever wrestle again? I'm not really ready to answer that question right now, especially considering some information I recently got. So yeah, I'm going to move on. Another person on YouTube asked me, what is my favorite Halloween costume? Okay, so you guys, I am not going to lie. I love the doggy costumes that are for that are Halloween, not Halloween, horror inspired. They're so funny. I really want my wiener dogs to be like Beetlejuice and It and Freddy Krueger. It would be so funny. But I think we might all end up being dinosaurs. So like T-Rex costumes. My little wiener dog's a little T-Rex costume. Oh boy. But as far as my own that I've previously had, I have done Ariel from Little Mermaid. I've done the Silk Spectre from The Watchmen. I have done, Wednesday Addams was a really fun one. I dressed up one time as Columbia from Rocky Horror Picture Show. One of my favorites though was when I was like I think I was about 3 years old. My mother and I, it was just her and I at the time, and we were living in the middle of the city where I grew up, and she dressed me in this witch costume, and I even got to wear her witch hat, and I had like this really awesome handmade type of broom, and we actually had our black cat on a leash, and our black cat at the time went with us trick-or-treating, and so I was like a legit 3-year-old witch. It was so awesome. I have some really, really cool costumes over the years. Some that I would love to still be is I really want to be in one of those giant T-Rex people costumes. I just want to be in one of those so bad. I think one time I was also the Dark Phoenix. That would be fun to do again. I've done Poison Ivy. I actually did that at a Comic-Con once. Yeah, there's so many different costumes, guys. I would love to be like Morticia Addams. I would love to do so many different costumes. Okay, moving right along. When will I do signed photos again? I actually am hoping to do that sooner rather than later. However, right now I've been more focused on doing Cameo because I think Cameo is just all around cheaper for the fans for now. And it also allows me to donate a bigger portion to different charities like St. Jude's Hospital, Progeria Research, the Wounded Warriors Project, and the ASPCA. So that's kind of what I've been focused on more so. If you want more details on that, you can visit cameo.com/Taeler Hendrix. And I definitely spend some good time, so it's definitely worth the money. I don't send 30-second or 90, not even 90-second clips. I do more than that. I think if you're going to pay money, you should feel appreciated. So but I definitely would like to do signed photos again. Absolutely. I love doing those. So much fun. I don't know. I just have so much fun putting a really fun song and then making a quick little blip video of all of the signed photos that I did. It makes me feel like such a badass. I don't know. Um, Another person asked me on YouTube, what countries would I love to visit? So I had some opportunities to wrestle in a bunch of different places, but for various reasons, including the pandemic, they didn't work out. Before the pandemic, I was in talks with Australia, the UK, I think Italy. And then I did have offers from Mexico, South Africa, um, and possibly Japan. So I had like a bunch of stuff in the works. It was very interesting. I felt really good. It was like, I don't know, it felt amazing. Um, but countries I would like to visit, not for wrestling's sake. So I've already been to Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and Liechtenstein. So I would definitely love to go to Scotland, Italy, Prague, Denmark, Amsterdam. Um, I would like to visit more parts of Canada. Um, oh wow, there's so many. Ireland, Wales, the UK. There's so many places. So many places. Okay, let me see here. Would I ever consider going to AEW? Honestly, I think I would be considering that a lot of people like to think I'm just talk, but for me, whenever I talk, I always like to put actions to my words. And so I always dreamed of becoming a published author ever since I fell in love with books. And I have done that now. And towards the onset of the pandemic, I really started taking opportunities to educate myself on various different things I didn't know about, like investing, mutual funds, index funds, different educational things like creative writing, and furthering on public speaking, since I used to teach that to little fifth and sixth graders, all kinds of different things. And I've also done a lot more to educate myself more on the business side of the pro wrestling and sports entertainment industry. So I know so much more now about budgetings, ratings, demographics, representation, marketing, different markets for sponsorships, and, TV deals, and so much more, and all the inner workings that not a lot of people talk to the fans about, and a lot of wrestlers don't even know about, because let's face it, it's not taught in pro wrestling schools. So I think I would actually be a really great behind the scenes executive. I think I would be an extremely valuable asset. And I'm talking about like priceless value, not just for women, but for men too, because since I've been in this business for so long, I feel like I really do have a really good eye for talent. And I really do focus and really just narrow in on those tiny little performance details that make a star look from great to superstar, megastar worthy, where they can later on transcend the industry and have an amazing life after pro wrestling. Because let's face it, we can't as athletes, we have a peak just like everybody else. And so I want to see more people have amazing lives after wrestling, instead of feeling like they're broken down and have to do all of these appearances just so they can pay rent and their groceries and things like that. So I think I would be a great asset for that in the women's division, working with vignettes and promos and entrances and camera angles to hit that one freaking move that makes a star look like they just died. And so when they come back and win, they get that ultimate underdog moment that makes fans really believe in them and want to see them go for the gold against, say, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Stuff like that. It's those little nuances, those little inner details that really do add up to huge things that make a superstar larger than life on your TV screen. Like they're going to pop out at you, like the way we fell in love with wrestling. So I really feel like I could do that for AEW, or WWE, honestly, or Impact Wrestling. I really do feel like I could do that. I've actually written storylines that some of you fans actually know and love, but you guys will never know that I wrote them, because I was a ghostwriter for them. So I don't know. There's just stuff like that I just love. I think I would be a great asset. This one's also from YouTube. What is my opinion on AJ Lee coming back to wrestling as an executive producer for WoW? I love it. I say if that is something that is going to make her happy, I'm all about it. I love her. I was really happy when she was really appreciative and she really enjoyed the article that I wrote on her getting to work with DC Comics for the Wonder Woman campaign and the release of the Black and Gold series that they did, that where AJ Lee, one of her comics, her storyboards was actually featured. So I just thought that was amazing. I love her work. So getting to see her come back and get to give back to other talent and her attitude about it, I just find very refreshing. You know, she's not necessarily looking to take the limelight. She's looking to use her own limelight to make the limelight bigger for other people. And I think that that's how it should go. You know, that's the cycle. And I think a lot of people, their egos are too big to do that. So it's amazing to see somebody like her who is able to do that. I think it's amazing. I think that is also, again, if you're noticing a theme, a great asset. So especially with her working on a script with the actress Amy Garcia, I believe is her name, and they're going to be working on the sequel of 47 Ronin. So there's just so much buzz that will be really beneficial for WoW. So as far as AJ Lee is concerned. So, and I think we're already seeing that now. On Twitter, someone asked me, what are some of the best birthday wishes that I ever received? Well, besides my family and my fans, over the last couple of years, I've had, you know, several superstars that are a lot more successful than me, you know, wish me happy birthdays and stuff. And that just felt really good, you know, like having just so much birthday love, especially because as a kid, there were quite a few years where there was people that should have remembered my birthday that totally forgot about my birthday. And I had 2 different birthday parties as a kid where nobody showed up. So those are experiences that kind of stick with you where when you wish that they wouldn't. So seeing all the birthday love that I have now, it almost makes up for it. And this past year was really awesome because I got way more birthday love than I ever had in years prior in wrestling. And on top of that, I also had somebody who I adored on TV reach out and wish me a very wonderful happy birthday. He was Spike, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and Angel. And I just loved his and Drusilla's character for Buffy and Angel. And so it was really cool. You know, he for over 2 minutes, you know, he wished me all these wishes and happy birthday and stuff like that. And that was amazing. I was just like, what? This is crazy. Super awesome. Very charismatic, very funny, upbeat, humorous individual. And it was just really awesome to kind of have that connection. It was really, really cool. So I would say that is definitely one of the best birthday wishes besides my family and my fans. I would say James Marsters' birthday to me, Pierce the Veil wishing me a happy birthday because I love the band, and Rose McGowan wishing me a happy birthday, and then Jasmine from Little Women LA, she wished me a happy birthday a couple years ago. So just stuff like that is so cool, you know, like who would have thought, like little old Taeler Hendrix, like, holy, you know, I don't know, just amazing. And then also on YouTube, someone asked me to give us a little more information about my upcoming book. So I'm really excited. I should be getting the finalized cover any day now for its official release. My 4th children's book is coming out this month, just in time for Halloween. And it is called The Hopeful Spider by Taeler Hendrix. And it's basically about this spider who he ends up finding himself alone and somewhat abandoned, and he doesn't know what to do. And so he goes out into the jungle looking for a new home and a new family. And he goes through these experiences where people don't want him around because he's a spider, because he looks different, because of all of these things about that people think about spiders and stuff. And he goes on this self-discovery journey and ends up finding a brand new home and a brand new family. It's kind of this life lesson about learning to love yourself for who you are and not for the things that you aren't. And it's also about self-discovery and learning that life isn't necessarily about the family you're born with. It's also about the family that you make along the way. So that is the overall theme behind my next children's book. It is something that's very near and dear to my heart. And I think, you know, having it come out in Halloween is really, really special. You know, having it come out this month in Spooktober. So it's super exciting. And then I am also still working. It's taken me a little bit longer than I thought, but I'm still going to be super happy with it. My first adult book is like a psychological suspense book that I started writing in high school. That is called Behind These Whispering Walls. I already have the cover for it. So if you guys want, I can actually share what the cover looks like with you here on Twitter. Not on Twitter. I'm so tired. On YouTube. I'm so excited. I started working on that in high school. And the last question for today is someone asked me to kind of elaborate from YouTube, elaborate a little bit more on what it was like growing up haunted. Okay, guys, I think I actually want to turn this into like a little book series, almost like my own version of Goosebumps by R.L. Stine, but I'm obviously not R.L. Stine, you know. I think it would be so cool. Growing Up Haunted was a little kind of video series that I did on this YouTube channel a couple years back, where I talked about some of the interesting stories that happened while my sister and I were growing up in a legit New England haunted house in Massachusetts. The house was built in 1912, and it was the first of 3 or 4 other houses that were built with the house that was across the street of a dead-end street. That house across the street was the family house, and I guess like this giant farm was subdivided and given to all of the sons in the family, and each son built a house, and I guess mine was built by the oldest son. And it was built in 1912 when that part of the city was farmland. And quite a few people died in that house from 1912 until the 1990s when we moved in. It was totally decked out in like 1970s design choices, like the shag carpet with olive green and like that burnt orange and dark red and brown, and this faux brick and like pirate wallpaper and certain it was just crazy. But you know, growing up in an apartment and then getting to move to this house was such an amazing experience, but little did we know what we were really bargaining for. Lights turning on and off by themselves, things going missing, things that made noises in the cellar. You know, rooms where if you had like rock stations, they would automatically turn on to any sort of country genre station it could find. You know, balloons that would move by themselves in straight lines. They didn't bob, they just moved in straight lines. Stairs that would creak when you're like 6 and 7 stairs away and feeling like you're being watched and followed throughout the house. The lamp that mysteriously tipped over and burnt a hole in the floor when there was no animals and everybody was asleep in the house. It was just all kinds of crazy stuff like that happened to me from age like 5 to 22 when I moved to OVW. Shizit was real, y'all. Shizit got real. So I'm not like a super scaredy person, I think, because of that. But I definitely have a very healthy respect for the things that go bump in the night. You know, after my grandmother died in the house, I don't know. It was comforting to think that like she was possibly there watching over us, but at the same time, it's like some of the stuff that happened, you just knew it wasn't grandma. You know, you're like, oh, I know for a fact my grandma would not do this to me. You know, so I was like, it kind of made you wonder like what else was there. I always wanted to leave a tape recorder there, you know, in the room near the cellar, and then kind of come back and see what's on it, but I never did. Yeah, some things are better left not to know. But I always think back to that and I'm like, I wonder what would have been caught on that, you know, tape recorder had I have done that. And I remember when I was a kid, there was this lady that lived 2 or 3 houses down. She came knocking on our door one day and she seemed so crazy. She was like, I used to live in this house when I was a kid. This place is so haunted. And I'm just a little kid, you know, behind Mama Hendricks, like, what is this lady talking about? Like, she's nuts. She belongs in the loony bin, right? Well, yeah, little did I know, like she was actually quite spot on in like a bunch of different ways. Including like this weird wine barrel thing that was so heavy. It was in the house when we moved in. We have no idea who it belonged to, and it was so heavy. It was so difficult to move, and we never opened it. And I always wondered, like, I wonder if there was like some sort of like body parts or like something in that thing. I don't know, you know. But yeah, there were so many crazy things that happened in that house that were not necessarily explained. The mysterious smells. You would get like smells of like a cigar. Sometimes you would get the smell of like a bunch of different kinds of flowers all at once. Then there was like this traveling perfume smell. It kind of reminded me of like if you ever have been in an elevator with a bunch of like older women, like the really, really strong perfume, that kind of smell. And then there was also this like burning smell that would happen every so often. That one was the real scary one. You know, especially for Mama Hendricks, who was the parent that stayed home at night and with the kids. So she was like all alone with us. And so that's a lot of responsibility if you guys are, you know, single parents or parents where you're home alone with the kid. You guys know what I'm talking about. So yeah, it was very, very interesting growing up. I could probably write like 10 books, I think, just off of growing up in that house. Some of my friends at the time growing up around like high school time always thought, you know, my house reminded them of what they thought the Amityville horror house would be. As a matter of fact, one of the girls like refused to sleep over after like 2 sleepovers. She like never wanted to sleep over at the house again. It was very interesting. All right, so there you have it. That was this week's Wicked Q&A Wednesday. And I hope to see you guys back super soon. Be sure to check out the prowrestlingtees.com /Taeler Hendrix. There's a sale going on right now as appreciation for the next 24 hours. Use promo code thank you, all one word, and you get 20% off. You guys know I only like to advertise that kind of thing when they're on sale, so then you get to save money. There's at least 5 shirts there. Super exciting. You can also find me at cameo.com /Taeler Hendrix. Every Cameo video you order helps me donate to various charities through you and myself and the Taeler Army. And also, I would love you guys' feedback on my books. Books 1 through 3 are on Amazon. It's Not Easy Being a Sloth, A Fish with a Wish is Trish, and Nosy Rosie and the Secret Surprise by Taeler Hendrix. And my 4th one, The Hopeful Spider by Taeler Hendrix, will be coming out later this month. Super exciting. Make sure you comment below with your questions for next week's Q&A Wednesday and give us a thumbs up. Talk soon.